Welcome to Shanghai Pudong Airport, where things are surprisingly quiet. There aren't many people around, which is quite unusual for this time of year when it's usually bustling with travelers. It's a bit bleak to see the airport so deserted. Many duty-free shops and famous restaurants here have closed down. Terminal 2 at Shanghai Airport is really quiet. Even though they say to come early, hardly anyone is there, so the terminal is almost empty. It's not just Shanghai, though. Other airports in China are quiet too. Why is it so calm during the busy Chinese New Year travel time? I left early, thinking there would be lots of traffic and lines at the airport. But when I got there, it was strange. There was nobody at the busy entrance, and security was quick with no lines. The gates were empty too. This unusual quietness makes me wonder why it's not as busy as usual during this busy travel time. Chongqing Jiangbei International Airport, the once bustling T2, is now deserted. What do people think about this? A netizen from Chongqing revealed that passing through Chongqing T2 terminal, the huge airport is empty, and it seems like most airlines have moved out, leaving only one noodle shop. It seems Chongqing's economy is still struggling to support the ongoing weak economic recovery post-pandemic. Chinese authorities have introduced a range of measures to attract more foreign businesses and tourists, including easing visa requirements for American visitors. Now, American tourists no longer have to provide documents like round-trip tickets or hotel reservations. In a bid to strengthen ties, the Civil Aviation Administration of China plans to boost direct flights between China and the U.S. from 48 to 70 per week during the winter and spring seasons of 2023 to 2024. However, despite these efforts, there are concerns about China's economic outlook, with experts warning of weakened exports and investments. To counteract this, Chinese authorities are focusing on stimulating consumption, offering visa-free benefits to encourage spending by tourists. Yet, despite these policies, traveling to China remains challenging, particularly for Americans. The disparity in mobile apps between the US and China poses a significant inconvenience, as downloading Chinese apps requires extensive personal information and a local phone number. Moreover, the shift away from cash and the inability of American phones to use popular Chinese navigation apps like Baidu and Maps add to the travel hurdles. Scholars and tourists alike face practical issues such as making mobile payments, while concerns about personal privacy and security loom large. The strict identity verification requirements in public places, including the collection of biometric data like fingerprints, contribute to the discomfort experienced by foreigners in China. Additionally, worsening U.S.-China relations and the enforcement of laws like the anti-espionage law have heightened concerns about legal detainment, prompting the U.S. State Department to caution Americans against traveling to China, categorizing it as a Level 3 risk area. Chairman of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee, Republican Representative Michael McCall from Texas, has cautioned Americans about the potential dangers of traveling to China. Last June, the U.S. State Department issued a Level 3 travel advisory due to concerns about exit bans and wrongful detentions, advising U.S. citizens to reconsider trips to mainland China. Highlighting cases like that of Mark Xi'an from Texas, who faced arbitrary detention in Guangdong Province in 2012, McCall emphasized the severe human rights violations suffered by those detained in China. Xi'an, a Texas resident, was apprehended while purchasing construction materials and later charged with drug-related offenses. McCall raised alarm about the Chinese Communist Party's surveillance practices, warning that connecting to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth networks in China could expose travelers to data extraction from their electronic devices. He further cautioned that social media accounts might be scrutinized for any anti-China sentiments, even outside mainland China. In some instances, he noted, plainclothes police may tail foreigners. As an alternative, McCall advised Americans to reconsider their travel plans to China and explore visits to allied countries and partners in the Indo-Pacific region. He is concerned about deteriorating U.S.-China relations, highlighted the increased risk of unlawful detention, particularly with the enactment of the new anti-espionage law. The Chinese government's encouragement of citizens to report individuals associated with agencies like the FBI has created an unwelcoming atmosphere for potential visitors. Moreover, the revised anti-espionage law expands the definition of espionage activities, offering rewards to those who report such activities, including accommodations and monetary incentives. 8 months since China reopened its borders, the influx of foreign tourists hasn't bounced back to pre-pandemic levels, despite life in the country returning to relative normalcy. The absence of international travelers is starkly evident in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai, which have seen less than a quarter of their usual tourist numbers in the first half of this year. So, why are international tourists giving China a pass? According to the Beijing Municipal Bureau of Statistics, Beijing welcomed about 407,900 international tourists from January to June this year, a significant increase from 2022 but still down by 11% compared to 2019. Similarly, Shanghai saw a decline of 13.8% in inbound tourist numbers during the same period. Matthias Taratas, the general manager of the Bulgari Hotel in Shanghai, notes that foreign travelers now make up less than 10% of the hotel's total guests, mainly comprising business travelers and luxury brand management teams. In the first part of this year, Chinese travel agencies only saw about 52,000 visitors coming in from other countries. That's a huge drop from the 3.7 million visitors they got during the same time in 2019. Some might think it's because it was the low season after the pandemic restrictions eased, and things were supposed to get better in the second half of the year. But that's not what happened. In July, China got about 1.7 million visitors, which is a lot more than before. However, only 86,000 of them were foreigners. This shows that even during the busy summer months, the number of foreigners coming to China didn't go up compared to earlier in the year. Foreign tourists visiting China face various challenges, including difficulties in accessing payment systems and accommodations. Nick Chen, a resident of Hangzhou, describes China as a potential nightmare for tourists without a Chinese SIM card and popular payment apps like WeChat or Alipay. Laura Pan, a professor at Italy's Bocconi SDA University, encountered payment challenges upon her return to China, despite being Chinese. WeChat Pay, for instance, posed ID verification issues for foreign mobile numbers, while Alipay offered a somewhat smoother experience. Moreover, many Chinese hotels lack the qualifications to host foreign guests, contributing to accommodation challenges for overseas tourists. Shopping and transportation can also be daunting, with most establishments favoring mobile payments over cash. Sightseeing presents its own set of hurdles, with popular attractions often requiring advance reservations on WeChat mini programs, which may pose language and verification barriers for foreigners. China is actively working to rejuvenate inbound tourism, with recent agreements to increase direct flights between Beijing and Washington and simplify visa applications for certain countries. Additionally, the expansion of visa-free access to 6 countries and efforts to make mobile payment systems more accessible to foreigners demonstrate China's commitment to attracting more visitors in the future. This tells us that getting back to normal after the pandemic has been tough. In response, the Chinese government wants to boost international connections and openness. As part of this, they're trying out a new plan. Starting from December 1, 2023, to November 30, 2024, people from 6 countries, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, and Malaysia, won't need a visa to visit China. This change aims to make it easier for people from these countries to come to China for business, tourism, visiting family or friends, or even just passing through for up to 15 days without needing a visa. China and the US have reached an agreement to boost the number of weekly flights between them to 24 by the end of October 2023. This is a significant increase from the 340 flights per week that were in operation before the pandemic hit. However, amidst the deteriorating relations between the Chinese government and the US, along with its allies, many Western nations are feeling wary and cautious towards Beijing. This sentiment of distrust extends to tourists as well. One major hurdle for foreign tourists in China is the limited acceptance of foreign credit cards by local merchants. Even cash transactions can be quite challenging. In China, whether you're shopping at street vendors or big department stores, transactions are mainly conducted through platforms like WeChat and Alipay. Additionally, China isn't very accommodating to individual foreign travelers. For instance, popular apps like Google Maps and Google Translate are inaccessible, and communication tools like WhatsApp don't function either. Posting pictures or updates on social media platforms is also restricted. Making matters worse, many road signs in China are in Pinyin, the phonetic system for Chinese, instead of English. While efforts are being made to update these signs, the process is slow, and temporary solutions like covering English signage with Pinyin using white tape are common. Moreover, international driver's licenses are not recognized in China, preventing foreigners from driving within the country. The timing of China's announcement of a pilot visa waiver program seems a bit awkward. Mainland China is currently grappling with widespread outbreaks of various illnesses, including mycoplasma pneumonia, influenza, and the new coronavirus. Children's hospitals across the country are overwhelmed, yet transparency regarding these health issues remains a challenge. Despite these concerns, The visa waiver program offers convenience for tourists and business travelers and may appeal to certain demographics. According to statistics from the National Immigration Administration, from December 1st to the 3rd, the number of personnel entering China from relevant countries continued to rise. In total, nearly 18,000 people entered China from these countries, with an average daily entry of 39% higher than on November 30th. Among them, nearly 7,000 people entered China visa-free, accounting for 39% of the total number of entries from these countries. This fully demonstrates that the unilateral visa-free policy has indeed brought tangible convenience to the people of these 6 countries. In the next step, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will continue to optimize visa policies, actively create favorable conditions, and provide more convenience for smooth exchanges between Chinese and foreign personnel. To further promote the development of high-quality services for exchanges between Chinese and foreign personnel and enhance the level of openness to the outside world, China has decided to pilot the expansion of unilateral visa-free entry to nationals holding ordinary passports from 6 countries: France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Malaysia. This policy will be implemented from December 1st, 2023 to November 30th, 2024. Individuals holding ordinary passports from the aforementioned countries can enter China visa-free for purposes such as business, tourism, sightseeing, visiting relatives and friends, and transit for up to 15 days during the specified period. The infuriating reality of Chinese vendors shamelessly manipulating weighing scales to cheat and swindle consumers is all too frequent. China's clandestine gutter oil industry has been exposed, revealing a disturbing reality. Ingredients for making sausages and street food: dead pigs, food waste, and a little seasoning. Today a delivery came. Come and see whether this is hair or fur. I looked at it and it doesn't seem like hair loss, it's even curly. I don't know what this store is up to, but this afternoon I'll go pick up their meal. Now I dare to confirm, it's fur. Let's switch to a video. Have you ever seen hand-fried rice? Today when I went to pick up the meal, I was waiting there and they said they were just about to finish frying rice. How can they fry rice without heating up the pan? Then I saw the store owner secretly frying it. They didn't let me see it face to face, using their hands to fry it in the rice, adding some ingredients. They deliberately didn't let me see it and secretly fried it. After frying, they put it in the microwave for a bit, pack it up, and deliver it to customers to eat. Everything is technology now. Even if you offer it to me, I won't eat it. Look at the bone soup. I don't even know what's in it. The bone soup you're drinking. And look at the bucket of rice noodles. Is it good? If you haven't seen it, once you do, you'll lose your appetite. Their hygiene is really poor. Even if they send me takeaway, I won't eat it. The buyer posted a clip in outrage because the shop owner deliberately lined the bottom with extra paper beneath the strawberries. Did they even cheat me for a few strawberries? Exposing deceptive practices in Chinese markets, from unscrupulous vendors to expired food sales. In recent years, the alarming presence of toxic food in China has ignited widespread alarm and intensified scrutiny. This glaring problem underscores systemic shortcomings in the management and regulation of food safety by the Chinese Communist Party. Despite earnest efforts to bolster standards and tighten regulations, persistent lapses in enforcement and supervision persist, leaving consumers vulnerable to the perils posed by unscrupulous practices within the food industry. Returning to the first video segment, recorded by a food delivery driver, paints a disturbing picture of his recent visit to a restaurant. Here, he recounts witnessing the kitchen staff preparing an order placed by a customer in what is commonly referred to as a takeout-only establishment. What's truly enraging is the utter disregard for basic hygiene standards evident in the premises. Despite the appalling conditions, the chef shamelessly proceeds with cooking, willfully ignoring the health hazards posed to unsuspecting diners. This reckless behavior not only demonstrates a callous indifference to public safety but also raises serious questions about the integrity and ethics of such establishments. The disturbing trend of dining out, especially in high-end restaurants, is gaining widespread traction in China, fueled by the misguided belief that these establishments maintain impeccable cleanliness. However, the grim reality is far from it. Despite the bustling crowds and limited serving hours, many eateries continue to flout basic food safety standards with impunity. Countless viral videos circulating online expose the reprehensible practices of Chinese food vendors. One particularly enraging clip captures the appalling sight of organ meat being tampered with in a hot pot restaurant as a worker repeatedly manipulates it with layers of edible paper, reducing it to a pitiful state. This blatant disregard for food safety standards has ignited fury among netizens who rightfully question how such abhorrent practices are allowed to persist. Another infuriating video documents the shocking spectacle of fresh seafood in a Chinese restaurant, where a piece of fish skin appears to dissolve into nothingness in a bowl of soup, sparking widespread outrage and intensifying fears over the safety of food consumption in China. These unscrupulous merchants prioritize profit over morality, shamelessly resorting to deceitful tactics at the expense of unsuspecting customers who patronize their establishments. Not only are the food preparations egregiously unhygienic, but even within the food processing facilities themselves, there are despicable acts of deceit and exploitation aimed at Chinese consumers. While not all of these practices are exposed, those that are revealed are enough to incite fury and disgust in anyone who witnesses them. In a particularly enraging video, a pork vendor is caught slicing meat with an abnormally large knife, suspiciously obscuring the truth. What follows is even more appalling. The vendor clandestinely enhances the meat while slicing the ribs, deceitfully manipulating the scale to extract more money from unsuspecting buyers. It's utterly heartbreaking that the customers stand idly by, completely unaware of the deception unfolding before their eyes. I swear, I will never touch these sausages again. You heartless merchants, have you completely lost your conscience? Come and watch this video. Hey, kids who love sausages, have you seen how these sausages are made? They're made of meat even dogs would refuse to eat. Yet, you process them into sausages and sell them without any conscience. These sausages, devoid of any nutritional value, are the favorite snacks of kids, becoming their ultimate indulgence. You can often find vendors selling them on busy streets because they're cheap. However, these sausages belong to the category of high-calorie foods, and frequent consumption can lead to weight gain. They contain harmful substances like sodium nitrite preservatives, which pose serious health risks. Why do we keep hearing about more and more people falling ill? Isn't it directly related to what you eat? Some chemicals may not immediately harm you when ingested, but if they accumulate in your body over time, they can cause serious health issues. Don't think they're harmless, they're harming children. Pay attention to food safety. The infuriating reality of Chinese vendors shamelessly manipulating weighing scales to cheat and swindle consumers is all too frequent. Fed up with being repeatedly deceived, one brave individual decided to take a stand armed with their own weighing apparatus. They boldly confronted the deceitful shop owner. Their righteous anger echoes the growing frustration among consumers who refuse to be victims of such blatant dishonesty. This courageous act serves as a rallying cry for justice and accountability in the face of greed and exploitation. It's a stark reminder of the urgent need for transparency and integrity in the marketplace, where the rights and trust of consumers must be fiercely protected. Next, we'll delve into the realm of purchasing and vending food products nearing or surpassing their expiration dates. Let's kick off by examining a video showcasing such close-to-expiration items. Over the past few years, a new trend has emerged in China, with the advent of stores specializing in selling food nearing its shelf life. Typically, these products have 3 to 6 months left before expiry, and sometimes even as little as 1 to 2 months. Manufacturers often offer these items at significantly discounted prices to clear inventory swiftly. In fact, most items in these stores are priced at just half or even one-third of the rates found in supermarkets. This trend is an indirect reflection of China's current economic climate, marked by widespread unemployment and salary reductions, prompting consumers to seek budget-friendly options, particularly when it comes to near-expiration snacks. Consequently, these stores have witnessed a surge in popularity, particularly in smaller cities and towns with lower consumption levels. Beyond physical storefronts, these establishments also cater to community group purchases, self-service dining establishments, and night market vendors. The recent proliferation of such outlets is closely linked to the ongoing pandemic. China's stringent COVID-19 containment measures, often resulting in city or household lockdowns, have led to a significant increase in community group purchases. Local authorities frequently control the supply chain, with near-expiration goods becoming a primary source of provisions. However, these items are typically sold to residents at regular prices, resulting in substantial profits for these officials. China's clandestine gutter oil industry has been exposed, revealing a disturbing reality. This alarming food safety scandal unfolding in China is just as repulsive as one would expect. With food shortages becoming a pressing issue in the country, a dire scarcity of cooking oil could fuel anti-CCP sentiments among ordinary Chinese citizens. It's highly plausible that this illicit gutter oil production business operates with tacit approval from the Chinese Communist Party. Consequently, impoverished individuals in China find themselves in an impossible situation where those without food face starvation, while those with access to food risk consuming poisonous oil. With over a decade having elapsed and Chinese society increasingly marred by corruption, the utilization of sewer oil, or gutter oil, is likely to worsen and show no signs of improvement. Sewer oil, extracted from the greasy residue in sewers or waste from hotels and restaurants, presents a grim reality that continues to plague Chinese society. Gutter oil is widely present in China, as evidenced by numerous online videos depicting its collection. Some eateries even directly retrieve gutter oil from garbage bins for reuse, while others gather it for further refinement before selling it on the market. Experts have highlighted that the purification process of gutter oil involves repeated high-temperature heating, which may kill bacteria but fails to eliminate the toxins released post-mortem. Moreover, the intense heating causes the fatty acid molecules in the oil to break down, generating numerous carcinogens. Studies indicate that even gutter oil subjected to multiple purification cycles contains thousands of harmful substances. Short-term consumption can damage the gastrointestinal tract, while long-term consumption may increase the risk of cancer. Unfortunately, scientists have yet to discover an effective method to detect and differentiate gutter oil. Ordinary individuals can identify it by inspecting for impurities, clarity, or unusual odors. Ultimately, the best course of action is to avoid seeking cheaper alternatives and refrain from purchasing cooking oil from dubious sources. Despite official crackdowns on gutter oil extraction, reports from Reuters in 2017 indicated that illicit production persisted. The situation likely worsened following the Ukraine conflict, with China facing a severe shortage of edible cooking oil, exacerbated by export restrictions from major producer nations like Indonesia and Malaysia. This scarcity has driven up prices, creating opportunities for the gutter oil mafia to thrive amidst soaring demand. With over 1.4 billion people generating substantial waste oil daily, a lucrative black market has emerged around this illicit commodity. For Chinese restaurants and food manufacturers, involvement in the gutter oil trade is highly profitable. Selling kitchen waste to private parties can earn up to 10,000 yuan annually, far surpassing fees for city sanitation worker services. Additionally, restaurants stand to profit from purchasing processed gutter oil at half the price of regular cooking oil. Large establishments can earn millions of yuan annually from selling their kitchen waste alone. This lucrative cycle incentivizes both the sale and repurchase of gutter oil, contributing to the thriving underground economy in China. Is the toxicity of sewer oil less harmful to humans? The answer is negative. However, these toxins may have a longer latency period in humans, perhaps up to 10 to 15 years. This extended incubation period has led the Chinese populace to become accustomed to sewer oil. Aside from causing deadly cancers, the harmful components in sewer oil can directly impair the human digestive and immune systems, resulting in food poisoning, dizziness, vomiting, and diarrhea. Media outlets at various levels in China have repeatedly uncovered instances of alleged sewer oil production and usage in restaurants. For instance, in Sichuan province, the popularity of hot pot cuisine has spawned a sewer oil industry, prompting local authorities to almost routinely crack down on it each year. In December 2021, a hot pot restaurant in Sichuan province was fined approximately $200,000 after being caught using sewer oil. Nevertheless, it remains challenging to determine whether the government's actions are merely superficial or genuine. While the public may witness investigations and penalties imposed on businesses, the extent of unchecked establishments employing similar practices remains uncertain. Since its inception, the Chinese Communist Party has grappled with issues of corruption, falsehoods, and deception. Presently, this manifests as widespread misinformation in the media, falsified statistics, and even deceit regarding officials' academic qualifications. Under such a corrupt regime, coupled with the promotion of atheism, a pervasive lack of trust and a focus on personal gain have emerged among Chinese citizens. Consequently, numerous unscrupulous merchants have abandoned their moral compass and resorted to any means necessary for profit, rendering food safety an infinitely perilous concern. A story about truck drivers die, China's trucking industry on the brink as revenues plummet and overcapacity bites, workers lose their jobs, and a series of shocking events take place. What terrible things have Chinese people been facing? Will the government solve this problem for the people? People, don't let your children get back pain, just tell them not to play too much with their phones. And stop spending lavishly. Look, life is not easy, okay? Understand? Good. I want to study harder in my next life. This job is too hard. I can't sustain my life. In the midst of the pandemic, the life of long-haul truck drivers has become incredibly challenging. Deliveries that used to take just a day now require at least 3 days. Previously, a journey on the highway took a mere 10 minutes, but now, highways and provincial roads are constantly congested, with delays of 4 to 5 hours or even more being a common occurrence. Unloading goods at the destination now necessitates a 48-hour nucleic acid test proof. Accidentally passing through an epidemic area may result in immediate quarantine, posing the risk of suspension from work. Fuel prices have surged to 8 yuan per liter, and gas prices have skyrocketed to 10 yuan per liter. However, freight charges have not increased at all. Each trip requires meticulous calculations, but truck drivers cannot afford to stop because they have families to support and monthly loan repayments to make. The truck drivers during the pandemic are facing a tough struggle for survival. In the hustle of China's busy economy, a big problem is hitting its important transport routes, seriously affecting the country's supply chain. Truck drivers, who are usually seen as essential to China's business, are now struggling to survive. The economy is down, the pandemic messed up logistics, and these drivers are often exploited. The challenges faced by them go beyond the economic downturn, but about humane problems. Their tough reality is a stark contrast to China's image of being a strong and prosperous industrial nation. My friend died, another one of my friends at the age of 39. A driver from Hunan reacted severely to the high plateau in western Tibet, left the world forever. 2 children at home, the elder is 15 years old, the younger is just a few years old. What will his parents do? What about his wife and children? At 39 years old, he left like this without any illness due to the high-altitude reaction. It is very hard and life-threatening as a truck driver. Many people said being truck drivers are easy since only uneducated people do it, especially those unscrupulous freight owners and dishonest businesses, delaying and even not paying their transportation fees. Do you not feel guilty? Do you know how difficult it is for truck drivers to earn a bit of transportation fee? In 2023, numerous truck drivers died suddenly, countless every year. Whether on the Sichuan-Tibet line or the Qinghai-Tibet line, due to high-altitude reactions, one after another left this world. For those of you who still owe transportation fees to truck drivers, I beg you, we have it really bad out here. One of the striking manifestations of the economic downturn is the severe drop in freight rates in China. According to recent insights, the global shipping industry, including China as one of the key players, remains entrenched in a freight recession expected to last into 2024 or even into 2025. This downturn stems from factors such as high inventories and a marked pullback in consumer spending, directly affecting the demand for logistics services. After selling trucks for so many years, I found that the truck driver was really poor, with a lot of debt, and couldn't even come up with a down payment of tens of thousands of yuan. How can anyone survive in such a situation? Moreover, U.S. manufacturing orders in China have seen a dramatic 40% reduction, further exacerbating the decline in the need for freight services and contributing to the oversupply of transportation capacity. This mismatch between supply and demand has led to a catastrophic decline in freight rates, affecting all stakeholders in the logistics chain but most acutely impacting truck drivers who rely on these rates for their income. Wuhan Iron and Steel Transportation Department in Xi'an, Wuhan. The entire place is deserted. With the economic downturn, many companies in China have become such a mess. Yunda Express is so bad that no one delivers to the site and few people are working at the site. China's trucking industry on the brink as revenues plummet and overcapacity bites. The road freight industry in China faces a dire and worsening situation. Despite initial optimism at the start of 2023 as COVID controls relaxed, the reality has proven far worse. Logistics companies have seen revenues plunge by 30% compared to 2022, with freight rates in freefall. Truck driver incomes have collapsed, with short-haul rates down 80%. This crisis builds on existing downturn. Even before COVID, the industry had entered a negative spiral of oversupply and falling prices. Netizens took aerial photos of the new STO Express Transshipment Center in Luoha, where the express delivery warehouses were full and piled up like mountains. Many logistic companies are deserted. Seems like they cannot pay proper wage for the truckers considering the amount of stuff laying around. The latest industry figures paint a depressing picture. The truck fleet shrank by 66,000 vehicles in 2022 as nearly 200,000 trucks were taken off the roads. Tonnage hauled fell over 5% to 37 billion tons, a significant decline. And while there was a small rebound in early 2023, this is likely only a dead cat bounce before the next leg down. Several factors have combined to crush the industry. First, years of overinvestment and oversupply, too many trucks chasing too little cargo. Manufacturing weakness and economic headwinds have reduced freight volumes, yet the truck fleet keeps expanding. Second, debt burdens are still being repaid on many recently purchased trucks, forcing desperate price competition between operators. And technologies like logistics automation have accelerated the commoditization of road freight. As these drivers navigate through tough times, their situation reveals a major issue in China's supply system. It's like a quiet alarm signaling a risk of collapse beneath the surface of the country's economic success. The once respected drivers now represent a bigger problem, casting a shadow on China's economic strength. The outlook for truck drivers in 2024 appears grim, with looming unemployment driven by a decline in purchasing power over the past 3 decades. Mortgage payments have drained 90% of the population's resources, leaving little for consumer spending, resulting in unsold factory goods and closures. The emergence of freight platforms worsens the situation, pushing shipping rates lower, especially for long trailers. Predictions suggest truck drivers may face up to 15 days of idle time each month due to economic challenges, forcing many to consider leaving the industry. This extended downtime, coupled with reduced opportunities, may lead drivers to resort to illegal modifications, risking safety on the roads. Challenges extend to inadequate access to proper meals, with many drivers resorting to unhealthy options. Sudden deaths among drivers are attributed to exhaustion and stress, highlighting the toll of the job. Feeling undervalued and mistreated, truck drivers endure difficulties from gatekeepers, warehouse staff, and toll booth operators, exacerbated by tight schedules and financial penalties. There seems little hope of a turnaround. Dual carbon policies will increase costs, while global instability hampers trade. And despite bold visions of an intelligent logistics future, the reality of the present is basic overcapacity and cutthroat competition. The government offers promises about reform and upgrade plans, but for truckers on the edge of bankruptcy, these so-called promises are just empty talk. If all trucks were to stop operating, here's what would happen. On the first day, highways would be exceptionally clear, but by the third day, certain ride-sharing and delivery platforms might declare bankruptcy due to the halted operations. Logistics and courier services would pile up, leading to shortages in supermarket supplies by the fifth day, causing a nationwide surge in prices. Massive population rushes to supermarkets would occur, with even basic vegetables being sold at exorbitant prices. By the seventh day, factories would struggle with stockpiles that couldn't be transported, leading to direct liquidation and closure. After 10 days, agricultural equipment would start facing surplus, prompting a migration of urban populations to rural areas to engage in farming. Truck drivers can support millions of families in this nation, yet we cannot support our own. Why? The downfall of the industry started early. Even in 2022, the express delivery industry in China found itself navigating through the eye of a storm that had raged on in the form of multiple epidemics. The economic turmoil that ensued was a direct consequence of weakened social mobility across provinces, which laid the groundwork for what can only be described as a challenging year for an industry heavily reliant on circulation. According to the State Post Bureau, the industry managed a meager year-on-year increase of 2.1% in business volume and 2.3% in revenue. While ostensibly positive, these figures represent a marked decline from the growth rates witnessed in previous years, underscoring the severe blow dealt by the pandemic. The provincial data paints an even more distressing picture, with growth rates of express delivery business volume falling significantly behind the national average in a majority of the provinces. On January 26th, early in the morning at around 8 o'clock, without even changing the tires, my old truck is still holding on, as there is no money to buy a new tire. I had to settle for putting on my worn-out spare tire. Gotta hold on, gotta keep pushing. It cost me over 3,000 yuan for just changing one tire, and they dismantled it right in Zhengzhou, Hunan, heading straight to Changsha, Hunan. 2/3 of the delivery job is done now, with about 10 more strands to go. I should be able to finish it up. Who cares if the tire doesn't fit up front, just install it higher. Parking fees here exceed 2 hours, so I stood by the roadside and covered myself with canopy. From my current location to the slope road towards the Beijing-Hong-Kong-Macau route, navigating a distance of 783 kilometers. The winter has come for China's trucking sector. Years of overexpansion have left the industry vulnerable, and a confluence of economic and technological factors now threaten its very survival. Furthermore, the disparity between express business volume and income growth in provinces such as Zhejiang and Hebei, where volume increased but revenue fell, lays bare the inefficiencies and unsustainable business practices exacerbated by the pandemic. Shanghai's situation, where a drastic drop in express delivery business volume was accompanied by an increase in business revenue, raises questions about the long-term viability and operational models of the express delivery industry in the face of such crises. Amidst this backdrop of despair, research pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on the express delivery industry offers little solace. Studies have highlighted how the pandemic facilitated the spread of viruses through express boxes, further curtailing consumer confidence in the delivery services and adding layers of complexity to an already struggling sector. Additional research focusing on the stock market performance of express delivery companies illustrates significant structural changes and resilience disparities between corporate-owned and franchise store chains during the pandemic. This indicates a broader, more systemic vulnerability within the industry to external shocks such as COVID-19. Ultimately, the express delivery industry's struggles in 2022 are emblematic of the broader economic fragility exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The synthesis of epidemiological threats and economic vulnerabilities has not only led to a significant downturn in the express delivery sector but has also cast a long shadow over the prospects of a swift recovery. As the industry stumbles through the turbulence induced by the pandemic, the road ahead appears daunting, painted with uncertainty and devoid of easy solutions. "15 Scary Fake Foods in China." Fake rice presents a grave danger to public health, as it is often concocted from synthetic ingredients such as potatoes, sweet potatoes, and plastic resin. This results in rice that retains its hardness even after cooking and lacks essential nutritional value. Certain honey manufacturers in China engage in deceptive practices by adding illicit antibiotics and heavy metals to their products in order to boost weight and profitability, posing serious health risks to unsuspecting consumers. In Guangdong Province, tofu processing facilities have been caught using prohibited chemicals to bleach and soften tofu, thereby exposing consumers to potentially severe health complications. The proliferation of counterfeit eggs made from resin, starch, pigments, and paraffin wax presents a formidable challenge as they are difficult to detect and can have adverse effects on health. Despite regulatory measures introduced after the 2008 milk scandal, reports of fraudulent milk products containing fats, milk essence, and preservatives continue to emerge, posing ongoing risks to consumers. Adulterated liquor, laced with harmful substances like methanol, poses grave health hazards for consumers. Spices derived from dubious sources such as mud or artificially dyed corn flour carry a host of health risks and are notoriously difficult to identify. Industrial-grade salt masquerading as table salt often contains harmful impurities and chemicals, thereby posing significant health risks. The deceptive practice of dyeing green peas with harmful coloring agents to enhance their appearance presents serious health risks to unsuspecting consumers. Counterfeit Jianong, concocted from sugar, starch, and root fibers, lacks any genuine medicinal properties and may even be toxic to health. The discovery of walnuts filled with concrete fragments underscores the brazen nature of food fraud, exposing consumers to potential health hazards. Shrimp falsely labeled as wild-caught, but in reality, are farmed and artificially enlarged, pose health risks to consumers due to the methods used. Fake rice noodles manufactured from industrial-grade materials not only lack nutritional value but also undermine the reputation of legitimate producers. Artificially dyed sweet potato noodles deceive consumers and jeopardize their health by exposing them to toxic chemicals. The misrepresentation of cheaper meats as lamb, when in fact they may be sourced from undesirable sources like rat, fox, or mink, poses significant health risks and tarnish the reputation of genuine producers. Amidst the squalid conditions of sewage-laden environments, individuals engage in the illicit extraction of gutter oil, concoct juices from putrid apples, and handle beloved snacks like spicy strips without the basic hygiene measure of wearing gloves. Packages of dried squid swarm with flies, while workers nonchalantly trample upon chicken feet and employ their unclean hands and feet in noodle production. Bananas undergo soaking and ripening agents to produce chili sauce, all while one worker callously sprays toxic ripening agents on sugarcane, indifferent to the potential poisoning of consumers, solely focused on sales. A daring woman, scooping up gutter oil, brazenly brandishes supposed legal documentation. Would you even consider consuming food processed under such deplorable conditions? China's food safety crisis, marked by gutter oil scandals, contaminated rice and milk powder, and the rampant use of hazardous additives, perpetuates a perilous food chain that ultimately reaches the tables of unsuspecting citizens. Meanwhile, China's officials enjoy access to a separate, presumably safer, food supply, further highlighting the stark disparities in accountability and supervision. Rather than address these egregious violations or bolster regulatory oversight, authorities turn a blind eye, allowing such widespread malpractice to persist unchecked. A recent report by CCTV News, a state-run media outlet in China, initially intended to shift focus onto Japan's alleged mishandling of nuclear waste by highlighting excessive radiation levels in Japanese sea base. However, the unintended consequence was the public's renewed scrutiny of China's own food safety shortcomings, underscoring the pervasive nature of the issue. China's ongoing food safety crisis stems primarily from lax oversight, corruption, and inadequate national standards. This troubling combination has created a breeding ground for unethical practices and harmful products flooding the market. From pork, the nation's staple meat, to beloved fruits like cantaloupes, no food item seems immune to adulteration. Take pork production, for instance. While it remains the most consumed meat in China, its journey from farm to table is riddled with deceit. In Jiangsu province, undercover journalists once captured shocking footage of a slaughterhouse injecting water directly into pigs. The scene was a disturbing display of callousness, with workers using high-pressure hoses to force water down the throats of helpless animals. Each pig would emerge from this ordeal carrying an additional 1.5 kilograms of water weight. Even more alarming is the complicity of government inspectors, who were caught dozing off in the very facilities meant for oversight. It was revealed that slaughterhouse workers were responsible for stamping inspection seals on pork products, while quarantine certificates were fabricated by the slaughterhouse owner. Though some may argue that the use of tap water in these processes is relatively benign, the addition of gelatin and Sudan red paints a far more sinister picture. Sudan red, known for preserving the meat's color, and gelatin, which solidifies within the pork post-injection, pose serious health risks. Experts warn of potential allergic reactions, heart palpitations, and muscle spasms among consumers of such tainted meat. The issue extends beyond pork to include other livestock like sheep and cattle. A chilling account from a buffalo slaughterhouse reveals a gruesome practice of pumping water into the animals before slaughter. Under the cover of darkness, workers inject massive amounts of water into the bellies of these creatures, leading to agonizing deaths. Despite being reported to authorities, such atrocities persist, highlighting the pervasive moral decay and disregard for animal welfare. Even the realm of agriculture is not spared from unethical practices. In Lancy County, renowned for its delectable cantaloupes, farmers resort to spraying melons with sweeteners to enhance their flavor. While these additives may appeal to consumers' palates, the long-term health implications are dire, underscoring the urgent need for systemic reform and stringent enforcement of food safety regulations. In a nation where profit often takes precedence over ethics, the onus falls on both authorities and consumers to demand transparency and accountability in the food industry. Only through collective action can China hope to restore trust and ensure the integrity of its food supply chain. Local growers assert their avoidance of chemically treated melons due to reported stomach issues associated with consumption. The presence of sweeteners like cyclamate, which is prescribed by the US FDA, raises concerns about potential liver damage and neurological impacts. Despite these risks, regional agricultural oversight bodies permit the unregulated application of such additives. Online commentators have highlighted that the use of enhancers on cantaloupes extends beyond Heilongjiang, permeating regions nationwide. This pervasive practice underscores a broader trend wherein cantaloupe cultivation relies heavily on chemical pesticides, a tradition spanning many years. Furthermore, the agricultural landscape includes instances of peanuts cultivated with highly toxic pesticides, grapes grown with contraceptive pills, and aquatic life subjected to growth hormone augmentation. In a sobering revelation, Lu Mei, a respected columnist at Sohu, disclosed China's staggering annual pesticide consumption, totaling approximately 3.5 million tons, constituting nearly half of the global pesticide usage. Over the past few decades, China's reliance on pesticides has surged by 136.1%, surmounting 1.806 million tons by 2014, signifying an alarming trajectory. The country should step in and take action. What I want to say is that everything depends on oneself. No one can control everything. If we don't restrain ourselves, it's really dangerous. The hospital's hands have long reached into your wallet. Control your mouth and hands. Let's not buy drinks, not drink milk tea, not order takeout, not buy pre-made meals, not buy food containing trans fats. Try not to eat anything with additives, raise awareness of food safety, and protect ourselves. Otherwise, sooner or later, all the money will have to be sent to the hospital. Not only will we suffer, but our whole family will suffer too. There's a company specializing in children's supplementary food called Bellamy. On their fruit puree packaging, it's stated that it contains no Chinese components. These 6 simple words indicate exceptionally high product quality, reassuring consumers that no cheap raw materials are added. In recent years, one of the foreign food standards surprisingly includes the absence of Chinese components. Similar slogans have become a major selling point on product packaging. In China, some people also consider the absence of Chinese components as one of the standards for evaluating food safety. This indicates China's food products face significant controversy in the international market, which is worrying. Only after a series of food safety incidents were reported abroad did it raise external awareness, and domestic people are also well aware of this. Give him 3,000 kilograms of grapes. He can turn 1,000 kilograms of grapes into raisins with his feet. He dodged the old altar sour pickles, but he couldn't dodge the raisins. The person who never washes raisins is now collectively silent. Some netizens even said, "I've always soaked raisins in water to drink. It turns out I've been drinking foot washing water. I always wash my hands before eating to keep them clean, but I never thought my hands were cleaner than raisins. I used to think my mom was being overly cautious when washing raisins, but now I feel like slapping myself." So, everyone, remember to wash these dried goods before eating them in the future. Some people have recently discovered the secret recipe for roast duck and are calling for a halt to eating roast duck. Let's watch the video first. The sizzling roast duck is here. Look at its neck, full of fish blood. Put some hydrogen peroxide on it, soak it overnight, and the fish blood will come out. Then clean up the remaining internal organs. Basically, this completes the first step of processing this raw material. Pick out the tougher bits, and that's essentially the cost of a $20 roast duck. Just a simple understanding of the raw materials. Would you dare to eat such ducks? Especially those ducks that cost around 20 yuan. Normally, ducks take about 5 to 6 months to raise. But what you don't know is that these ducks can be raised into enzymes in just 1 month. Why do we need to pay 80 or 90 yuan for a live duck, but only 20-something yuan for a roasted duck? This kind of roast duck, the price has dropped to almost nothing. What's good about it? In fact, it's just frozen duck meat. Merchants outside all use this kind of duck, which has never seen the sun and has never been washed. It has one characteristic, which is that its meat grows unusually fast. The most important thing during farming is to prevent them from getting sick. So, every time they feed, they add a large amount of antibiotics. Ingesting too many antibiotics can cause a decrease in white blood cells and even damage the liver and kidneys. For the sake of the taste of this roast duck, monosodium glutamate comes in, and to make this roast duck look bigger and fuller, complex phosphates come in. To make this roast duck sell well, chili sauce flavoring and maltol come in. Finally, what we see is a roast duck overflowing with fragrance, crispy and tender. Oh, this is too terrifying to imagine. Friends, please don't eat it anymore, okay? You might say, rice, dumple, and flour should be safe, right? No, even flour is being adulterated now. Many manufacturers are adding talcum powder in large quantities for profit. However, talcum powder is classified as a Group 3 carcinogen by the World Health Organization, and the country has expressly prohibited its addition to flour. Such unscrupulous businesses are everywhere. According to the prepackaged food regulations, the additive content in flour must not exceed 25%. That means, the flour you buy has 1/4 additives. To maximize the use of these 25% additives, let's see how factories operate. They extract wheat germ and embryos, which are sold at higher prices, leaving behind the part we know as flour. This kind of flour not only lacks nutrients but also darkens in color and has a poor taste, neither fragrant nor chewy. To make the inferior flour appear white, they add bleaching agents and preservatives. If the dumpling skins you buy outside are not sticky and don't boil down easily, it's probably due to the chemical reactions caused by these technologies. Such flour is completely a blend of additives. Aren't our ordinary bodies anymore? Let's be cautious when buying flour in the future. After all, there was the infamous tainted milk powder incident in 2008, the old Alter sour pickles incident exposed by March 15th, as well as the recent Qingdao beer urine incident and fake honey incident, and a series of other social phenomena. Which one of them hasn't shocked us? In China, you have to eat at least 20 kinds of genetically modified fish a day. Breakfast is lead-containing fried dough sticks, along with artificial tofu, and in the soy milk, there's water and soybeans, not to mention the essence. If you're not full yet, how about a tray of lymph-filled steamed buns? At this point, you rush home to cook your own meals. Except for the charcoal stove, everything else is real, but all the lamb rolls, beef rolls, and pork belly rolls are soaked in formaldehyde water. After this day, there are few things that are real, but one thing is real. If you get sick from eating this, you'll spend a lot of money at the hospital. It may sound funny, but people's health is really important. Half of the world's pesticides are used in China. Pesticides can be divided into herbicides, insecticides, rodenticides, fungicides, etc. according to their effect. Global agricultural production uses about 3.5 million tons of pesticides every year, of which China, the United States, and Argentina account for 70%. China alone accounts for about half of the world's total pesticide use. In 2014, China's pesticide use was 1.8069 million tons. Over the past 20 years, the number of pesticide poisoning cases caused by food residues and chemical additives in mainland China has exceeded 100,000 annually, and nearly 40% of cancers are caused by diet. Vegetables sprayed with pesticides may appear fresh and tender, but they often contain pesticide residues, including various pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, rodenticides, fungicides, ripeners, and preservatives. These substances attach to the surface of vegetables, making it impossible to identify them with the naked eye. Vegetables also lose their original flavor, posing significant health risks to consumers. Farmers themselves know the harm of these additives to their health, so they don't eat the products they grow themselves. Yet, if everyone thinks this way, it's hard for anyone to avoid harm. Nobody is safe from injury in a society where harm is mutual. Our only chance to end this destructive loop is to eliminate privileges and raise everyone's moral standards. The government cut off my house's electric power first to scare everyone, so that they might not dare to resist. Elderly people live stream selling goods at night. Young people live stream looking for husbands. A series of scams occurred throughout China. Defrauding people, defrauding money, the government exploiting people. China has really collapsed. Within the current digital landscape, live streaming and short video platforms are particularly attractive opportunities for rapid financial gain. However, beneath the dazzling surface of this apparently rich land comes a worrying trend, a rise in fake goods and dishonest business methods. Recently, social media has exposed a series of incidents where elderly people host late-night live streams to promote products, sparking public concern about this phenomenon. According to Wuhan Short Videos, these elderly hosts attract a large audience by highlighting their bleak lives. However, behind this facade lies the relentless exploitation by MCN institutions, and the real lives of elderly hosts are far from what viewers see. On social media, many netizens have reported encountering live streams hosted by elderly people late at night. However, once they question the legitimacy of the live stream or why the elderly cannot end the broadcast and rest in the comments section, they are often silenced or kicked out of the live stream. This phenomenon has attracted widespread attention from society, and the media has conducted in-depth investigations into it. Bilibili host Kang Youwei conducted on-site visits to areas where elderly people host live streams last year and found that most of these elderly hosts come from rural backgrounds and have unfortunate life stories. However, What is shocking is that these elderly people are likely actors packaged by MCN institutions. The accounts of elderly hosts almost all carry similar labels: miserable. Behind this label is the exploitation of the elderly by institutions and the harsh reality of their lives. One elderly host visited by the UP host, Grandpa Nyo, claimed to be a retired soldier facing immense pressure in life and could only make a living through late-night live streams. However, in reality, his daughter-in-law does not exist, his grandson was borrowed, and his son did not have cancer. He only suffered a back injury while working and has since recovered. Are these fabricated stories intended to evoke sympathy from viewers or to meet the marketing needs of MCN institutions? One commercial tool used by certain counterfeit companies to make money is named Lianshan Mengyang, once attracted immense attention and popularity on the internet. Hailing from the mountains at a young age, she single-handedly raised several younger siblings, evoking sympathy and heartache from countless people. Her story went viral online, garnering significant popularity and traffic. However, as time passed, people began to uncover some clues, suspecting that her situation was not as dire as she portrayed it to be, but rather flaunting her sympathy for traffic. Her character started to be questioned and criticized. Many believed that she was no longer an inspiring figure, but instead brought negative influence to her hometown. Even in the face of hardships and evidence, Mengyang did not wake up and admit her mistakes. Instead, she continued to make money online, becoming the most controversial figure in the internet celebrity circle and suffering from online violence. It wasn't until September 14th that the authorities released concrete information, revealing Mengyang from Lianshan to be a fake, completely overturning her character. With the authorities taking action this time, she has completely lost her traffic and popularity. Lianshan Public Security Investigation found that since 2022, a media company has been packaging Lianshan Mengyang through various means, creating a false image of her impoverished and tragic background to gain attention and popularity from netizens, thereby profiting. Lianshan Public Security discovered that the companies Lianshan Subu and Lianshan Mengyang and other internet celebrity hosts were all packaged by the company. They manipulate comments, hire internet water armies, and manufacture popularity in the comments section and live streams to attract more viewers and increase sales. In addition, the products they sell are also fake specialty agricultural products, just to deceive netizens' sympathy and discredit their hometown. In addition to the numerous hazards that come with using short videos to promote products, lying is also common in dating, job searching, and university training programs. Scams appear to be everywhere. In response to a recent scandal involving celebrity wives, secretive online groups dedicated to finding wealthy husbands have gained widespread attention. These groups, primarily operating on platforms like WeChat and QQ, offer intensive coaching on how to portray oneself as a high society figure, engineer chance encounters with celebrities, and quickly publicize high-profile relationships. Founded by women who have successfully married into wealth, these groups require recruits to pay a fee and demonstrate their financial status to advance through the ranks. One prominent group, known as the Shanghai Beauty Collective, charges a membership fee of $500 and provides guidance on living a luxurious lifestyle and attracting elite partners. Members pool resources to rent luxury accommodations, vehicles, and designer goods to enhance their social status. The ultimate goal is to create a perfect illusion of wealth and sophistication, achieved through cosmetic enhancements and curated presentations of opulent lifestyles. Cross-border matrimony fraud, stemming from the ramifications of China's one-child policy imposed by the Chinese Communist Party, the nation confronts not only a pronounced aging populace but also a profound gender disparity, particularly in its rural regions. As a result, there is a burgeoning cohort of unmarried men, grappling with the challenge of finding suitable partners. This predicament has given rise to a surge in international marriage scams, exploiting the vulnerabilities engendered by this demographic imbalance. This event revolves around a man in China, Lu Chunsheng, whose family is concerned about his lack of romantic relationships due to embarrassment and fear of interacting with the opposite sex. The family spent a large sum to invite a woman from Laos to be his wife. However, the marriage did not last long as the Laotian wife disappeared abruptly, prompting the family to question the circumstances. The story continues to unveil the family's efforts to seek the truth and resolve conflicts, reflecting the pain and confusion throughout the process. This is an online romance scam. This company used high-quality female personas to lure victims into contact. They pretend to be sophisticated, attractive women to engage with the victims and persuade them to make deposits on their platform. They claim to be from Shanghai, from Malaysia, but currently, they're in Zhengzhou, Hunan province. They use messaging apps or overseas communication software to impersonate the opposite sex, using well-crafted scripts, During the conversation, they stick to the script, assigning each chat session with a corresponding user, each with a designated identity, like a director, a property manager, specifically targeting gamers. We found evidence on site, including phones used by suspects and many overseas SIM cards. For instance, we found Hong Kong prepaid cards. These are the SIM cards bought by the suspect, specifically for fraudulent activities. So, you see, some clients are flirtatious, right? Some clients send him photos, while others may not be like that, and then they ask him to buy gifts for them from that platform, right? Exactly. Here are their wages for May and June. We can see that this individual, 99, earned 32,317 yuan in May. From October 1st, 2020, until now, our turnover is $275,000. His wage for this month is over 67,000, so, his basic salary is only 4,000 yuan, so what about his commission? It's over 63,000, over 63,000. Based on a 25% commission rate, the amount this person has defrauded should be over 250,000 yuan. In 2024, there's a growing concern that the surge in unemployment and financial hardship will give rise to more scams, putting more people at risk of becoming victims. There's a collective call for heightened awareness and self-protection. In China, vital utilities like water, electricity, gas, oil, and telecommunications are tightly controlled by state-affiliated enterprises. These corporate entities wield immense power, dominating large sectors of the market and essentially behaving like insatiable beasts devouring public resources. With citizens having little to no alternatives, they're compelled to acquiesce to exorbitant prices and practices dictated by these monopolies. It's not even 400 yet, but when we subtract the pension, there's even less left over. Yeah, they're clearly asking the government to switch back to the old electric meters. Because these new meters aren't just using electricity, they're devouring it. One lady in her 30s, living in the village, said that before they installed these smart meters, life at home was comfortable. She could use electric blankets and heaters without worrying too much about the electricity bill. But now, she has to think twice even before using an electric kettle. There's a growing suspicion among some residents regarding the accuracy of the smart electricity meters, while the power supply department adamantly asserts their proper functioning. Several years back, Chinese power supply departments launched a nationwide initiative to replace traditional electric meters with smart ones. However, since then, people have noticed a sudden and substantial uptick in their electricity bills, sometimes skyrocketing several times over. The big question looms, what's causing this issue? According to data from the National Bureau of Statistics, electricity generation from January to November 2023 amounted to 8,073.2 billion kilowatt-hours. However, data from the National Energy Administration revealed that during the same period, the country's total electricity consumption reached 8,367.8 billion kilowatt-hours. Simply put, the total electricity consumption exceeded electricity generation by 294.6 billion kilowatt-hours. This phenomenon sparked widespread discussion among the public, with many questioning the underlying reasons behind this seemingly contradictory situation. How is it possible for total electricity consumption to surpass electricity generation? According to incomplete statistics gathered by reporters from the Daily Economic News, discussions about this issue rapidly spread across various platforms such as Weibo, Shuiqiu, Tuxiu, and WeChat public accounts. Many netizens pointed fingers at smart meters, suggesting that issues with smart meters might be causing the total electricity consumption to exceed electricity generation. Swiftly, people across different regions began connecting this phenomenon with their own electricity meters, sharing their bills to compare costs pre- and post-installation of smart meters. A while back, a revealing incident unfolded, shaking my confidence to the core. My son, just a youngster, managed to outsmart me in my own domain. It served as a stark reminder of the shortcomings in China's educational system. Even students from prestigious institutions like Tsinghua and Peking University struggled to keep pace with the exceptional caliber of international high school students today. One day, my son conducted a series of experiments at home, scrutinizing our electricity meters readings. Despite my initial skepticism, his findings revealed a discrepancy that couldn't be ignored. His persistence and commitment to facts, rather than blind faith in the system, left a lasting impression on me. It was a wake-up call, highlighting the importance of fostering scientific inquiry and critical thinking skills in our education system. My son's journey toward discovery underscored the need for a paradigm shift in how we approach learning and innovation in China. Despite attempts by authorities to downplay concerns, public skepticism persists, casting doubt on the integrity of smart smart meters and the transparency of State Grid's practices. As a result of this pressure, Kang Yi, the director of the National Bureau of Statistics, personally came forth to clarify and restate the claim that smart meters are problem-free. Some voiced their disbelief by questioning, isn't there a reason why someone uses more than 400 kilowatt-hours of electricity in a day? Do they live with mining rigs? An old person just uses lights, but in 40 days, the electricity bill comes to 900 yuan. Regardless of how you frame it, it's not feasible. It looks like your meter is broken. The electricity consumption is significantly higher than electricity generation. Well, do you understand this logic? There's a netizen who found that the electricity consumption, as reported simultaneously by the National Energy Administration and the National Bureau of Statistics for the first 11 months, exceeds electricity generation by a whopping 294.6 billion kilowatt-hours. This netizen did some calculations. For example, if our home's electricity meter reads 135 kilowatt-hours, but we only consumed 100 kilowatt-hours, we still have to pay based on the 135 kilowatt-hour reading. Well, logically, this doesn't make sense. Another point to consider is that this 294.6 billion kilowatt-hours of excess electricity is greater than the annual electricity consumption of many provinces. If we calculate it at 0.5 yuan per kilowatt-hour, that's a staggering 147.2 billion yuan. This figure is too astounding. So how did this situation arise? It's inexplicable. Some speculate that certain companies might have integrated the electricity they generated into the national grid for unified calculation. But this doesn't add up because it's like these companies are giving money to the power utility for nothing in return. Moreover, our national grid is different from oil companies. Oil companies like PetroChina and Sinopec compete with each other, but our national grid is a single entity. It's unlikely that they made a mistake. So, this issue really needs experts to come forward and provide an explanation promptly, otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. Moreover, it makes people feel that their so-called smart meters are a bit dysfunctional. Is there something fishy going on here? It's high time the relevant authorities came out and addressed this issue. The blogger in the video mentioned that the issue of smart meters not being well received lacks a clear explanation. Recently, there has been a lot of buzz about the news that nationwide electricity consumption exceeds electricity generation. Many bloggers have already explained that this is a matter of statistical methodology. However, whether it's videos setting the tone or those educating about statistical methodologies, the comments below are filled with criticism of smart meters, which is completely unrelated. This indirectly shows how unpopular smart meters are, as people seize any opportunity to criticize them. Regarding the phenomenon of increased electricity bills with smart meters, the State Grid Corporation has also provided an explanation. Traditional meters are not accurate and do not charge for stray currents. Smart meters, on the other hand, are more accurate and do charge for stray currents, leading to higher electricity bills. The State Grid's stance is, I'm not raising prices, I'm canceling discounts. You've been taking advantage of them for decades, and now that I'm not giving you a discount anymore, how dare you blame me? When long-standing unconditional discounts are suddenly removed, it's called a price hike. There's no clear distinction between canceling discounts and raising prices. For example, if we take a flight and the ticket price is always discounted to 1/10, but suddenly becomes discounted to 8/10, everyone describes this phenomenon as a price hike. So, I won't play word games with you. Canceling discounts is a price hike in electricity fees. If electricity fees are raised, a public hearing should be held. Have you held a public hearing? Even if your price hike is not illegal, you still need to inform users. You're secretly raising prices now. Moreover, this isn't the first time electricity fees have been raised over the years, but it's probably the first time they've been criticized so heavily. It's just that your approach isn't fair. Amidst ongoing deliberations regarding the effectiveness of smart meters, it appears that the general consensus among the public holds little sway. Disheartened individuals online express their disillusionment, painting a picture of authorities assuming multiple roles, acting as both participants and arbiters, with their judgments deemed final. Despite widespread acknowledgement of the tendency for electricity and gas meters to run at an accelerated pace, citizens find themselves powerless to rectify the situation, particularly in light of official assurances regarding meter precision amidst escalating utility costs. Many ponder the necessity of employing numerous electrical devices when faced with exorbitant bills, stressing that their restraint stems from financial limitations rather than a lack of consumption desire. Furthermore, contemporary China carries the dual reputation of being a breeding ground for scams and a hub for counterfeit goods. A recent incident in a commercial enclave within a Huawei district underscores this reality, with establishments swiftly shuttering their doors at the mere mention of counterfeit inspectors. This locale, infamous for its top-notch imitation products, epitomizes the nation's ongoing battle against counterfeit merchandise. Additionally, the rise in popularity of platforms like Tinder shines a light on a broader trend wherein consumers knowingly opt for counterfeit items due to their affordability, exposing the stark prevalence of poverty. Conversations surrounding China's pervasive fraud and counterfeiting issues often point fingers at inadequate regulatory measures, lenient penalties, and societal norms favoring cost savings over authenticity. Nonetheless, heightened scrutiny suggests a pressing need for a thorough investigation into the underlying causes of these systemic hurdles. The recent admission of data manipulation by the National Bureau of Statistics, particularly concerning the 2027 National Population Census, further undermines confidence in official statistics. Skepticism surrounding inflated population figures during the pandemic and discrepancies in birth and mortality rates cast doubt on the accuracy of the census and reflect broader skepticism about the reliability of official data in China.